Tonight on That's Dark.
Fred and Verna had a happy life. They had grandchildren and a family. They loved country music and they loved to dance. That was until the monster took it all away from them. Follow me as we discuss the case and murder of Verna and Fred.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's Alyssa.
And Heather.
And I sound sniffly.
You do. For once, it's not me.
It is.
Yeah, I'm always a sniffle bucket over here.
I'm pretty sure it's just allergies. It's not fun.
I hope so.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like anything, so.
Well, I thought I had meningitis. So.
Hey, that's how we are. She had a stiff neck and texted me and was like, so I have a stiff neck and I think I have meningitis. And I'm like, you know, if I didn't deal with that every single day, I would think the same thing. I have one random thing to say and then we can get into it. I was looking at things that I think Bear might like because he will not eat his kibble unless there is meat, hot meat in his bowl with it. So I was like looking in the canned meat section. And I found potted meat.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting, but he loves it.
Sure he loves it.
I don't know what it is, but it's literally like creamed meat.
Yeah,
that's what it
is.
Like.
It's creamed meat, essentially.
He went nuts for it this morning.
Hey.
I'm happy for him.
Well, hey. At least someone wants that potted meat. Potted meat? I think you can get... No. Oh, you could get like... fish in a can, too. Not tuna.
That's true.
Tuna's fish in a can. But you could get like...
have salmon. He loves salmon.
You could even get a whole ass fish in a can. Did you know that?
I don't know how I feel about that.
With bones and everything.
I don't want to. I'm actually
bring it out.
I'm really good on that.
You sure?
I am.
If anyone has a good recipe for potted meat, send it Bear's way. Because I'm not going to eat
Please
it.
Do.
All right. Well, I want Cuban food. I can't believe I'm saying that. But I want Cuban food. So I'm going to get into this. Because, yeah.
I'm excited.
So we are going to be covering Gregory Despres. And he is a killer that was given to us by one of our listeners. So thank you so much. I hope I do it justice. I will say this one was a little hard because I think this is back in 2005, but there's just like, it doesn't have like the same interest as like, I couldn't find podcasts on it. I couldn't find anything to really like grab some stuff about it. But what I got, I took through newspapers and really tried to piece together what Gregory is, the family, all this kind of stuff, you know? So I want to start with who Fred Fulton and Veronica Verna DeCary, or if I said that wrong, DeCary, they were married.
Okay.
From everything I've gathered from reading newspapers, from what their families, Fred was called Papa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, so is this his dad?
No.
Or like, okay.
No. I just want to start with them because I want to just paint a picture of who I think they were in life. Okay. So Fred Fulton and Veronica Verna DeCary, sorry again if I say that wrong, they are going to be the ones that are going to be killed by Gregory Despres.
Okay.
But everything I read, I think they're just super loving. Fred's face was so kind. They were married for years. Verna was said over and over all about her kindness. Like they're just like, she was so kind, her kindness. So they love country music. They love to go dance into it. They love dancing together. And they had family that really loved him. Again, I just love that they called him Papa. I just thought it was just like the cutest and sweetest thing ever. So everything I got from them was that they were good people. And I wanted to start with that because on April 23rd, 2005, everyone loved them, right? But their daughter now at this time, Fred's 74.
Okay.
And Verna is 70. And her daughter, and this is in Minto, New Brunswick, Canada, their daughter hadn't heard from him. And she heard from him all the time. Like all the time. So, and it's been like, I think 3 days. She hasn't heard from them. And she's like, that's weird. They're not picking up their phone. So she's going to go and she goes to check on them. She walks in their house and she finds them both brutalized. stabbed to death, and her father was beheaded.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and by the way, trigger warning, especially if you know about this case or you're connected, I do apologize because I really wanted to get kind of the understanding of where the headspace is of who I'm going to talk about. So she walks into this horrifying, bloody scene. There is a 10-minute police video of the walkthrough. I do not recommend going and watching it.
Okay.
But I am going to go ahead and read some things from there that was taken. Again, trigger warning, as I'm going to add some accounts from that video for better understanding of what Fred's daughter had to walk in and see, because she saw all this before the police were there. The home was very neat and tidy. Everything had a place. The detective, the police said. It was also extremely clean, hardly even dust on the shelves. The residents were super clean people. It was a very happy home. The fact that that came from that. Fulton's beheaded body found in the kitchen. Holtzman said he arrived at the Fulton Decree home, started shooting video shortly after. He narrates as he shoots the video, entering the back entrance of the home and shooting the bloody footprints on the deck and smeared blood on the screen door, which he appears to have been kicked open. Next, the video shows red stains on the inside and outside handles of the back door, then leads into the kitchen where Fulton's beheaded body is laying under a comforter. Holtzman then videotaped the bathroom where more blood was found and the living room where a blood-stained white telephone torn from the wall and a dagger with red stains around it are shown on the floor. In the bedroom, the video shows Verna's night clown-clad body laying on the floor with bloodstains on the carpet and bedding, and the ceiling light was smashed. So, I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, a lot of violence. Back in the kitchen, Fulton's head in a pillowcase under the kitchen table was videotaped. Oh. So that's what she saw. That's what she walked into. All of that. During this time, while the police are investigating, at the border of Canada, a man is trying to gain entrance back into America. With what he shows up with is what concerns the U.S. border agents. They detained him as he sought in 2005 to re-enter to Maine, and this is Gregory Despres, from Maine, New Brunswick, Canada. And they fingerprinted him, checking for warrants, and we're going to talk about why they did all this. And then they had to confiscate some things. They confiscated a bloody chainsaw, a bloody knife, bloody brass knuckles, and then a sword. When they say a knife, it was a homemade sword. What? And it had swastika symbols put on that sword.
What?
Yeah. But they could not legally stop him from re-entering. They were also concerned that he was an extremist. Remember I said that? Because he also had a large swastika on his back. And then he started saying some very bizarre things, describing himself as a military assassin.
Oh my goodness.
They had to let him back in.
Why?
And he is going back into Maine. I don't know.
How can they
I could not figure it out why, with him having bloody all this stuff. But that's why they detained him and did all what they did.
Okay.
They fingerprint him. They DNA swabbed him. All of that, which is amazing and so good that they did that. But they let him walk through.
Holy shit, dude.
After this, Alyssa, I'm going to show you a picture of this man. And when you see his eyes, it's chilling.
Oh, boy.
And I think I know I'm going to hear from you when you see his eyes, because I think you've seen these eyes before.
I'm sure I have.
The man was named, as I said, Greg Despres, and he would be arrested in Maine the next day for the murders of his neighbors in Canada because of that DNA and because of that border stop. So these were his neighbors when he was living in Canada. And no one knows why he killed them. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this man, Greg. I wanted to start it with Fred and Verna because I believe they deserve to have the spotlight for a minute. Not their death, but the fact that they were...
Just who they were.
Who they were. Mm-hmm. So Despres was born in Minto, New Brunswick. So that makes him... he was in Canada. In July of 1982. As a young child, his mother, Ginny, separated from the father, Glendon. Despres lived a nomadic existence. So he lived a super nomadic existence nearly his entire life. In his youth, he moved with his mother to Massachusetts. He easily made friends and was involved in a community of activities. As a teenager, he took part in sports and the cadets. He also worked part-time jobs. By the age of 16, the mother began noticing changes in his personality, which she dismissed as teenage rebellion. At age 17, Despres moved back to Minto with his estranged father, so he left his mother. He also severed ties with his mother for almost 2 years until she herself had returned to Minto. By this time, Greg had become isolated from society, locking himself away in his residence for long periods of time, rarely being seen by outsiders. His mother was concerned, asked him if he was doing drugs, but he denied it. She said that his state continued to deteriorate beyond that point. His mother said that honestly, the state of who he was drastically changed at 17 and continued to deteriorate, and he became extremely delusional. Now, under arrest for the murders, his lawyers are going to use that because he's under arrest now. There was not a lot because of what the border police did. They had his DNA. They had all this stuff. They knew when this murder came out, they went right to Maine, got him literally the next day that he went there. So they have him. Now he's back in Canada to face trial for this. His DNA is there. He cannot deny it. His lawyers are going to work real hard to say that he is not fit to stand trial. And typically I will always call bullshit. Yep. This time, I don't know. Okay. So, usually I'm like, bullshit. Yes. Nail. No, do I think he should be nailed? I absolutely do. But let's go ahead and get into that. So, he is now in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And a forensic pathologist said Gregory Despres, formerly of Massachusetts, is unfit to stand trial for the grisly murder of the elderly couple. Dr. Scott Thurall told the judge that Greg, 24, has paranoid schizophrenia and suffers from persistent delusions. Among other things, Greg believes he is a pilot with an organization he refers to as the SSP, or Super Space Patrol. Oh my God. Thurall also told the court that Despres believes his defense lawyer is actually a terrorist. Oh. The Court of Queen's Bench they held a 2-day hearing to determine if he was going to be fit to stand trial. Because of the DNA, they know he did the murders. So they know there has to be a trial. They know that that's what happened. And also because of the testimonies on his mental health, the trial had to be put on hold until February of 2006 now. Okay. When the defense lawyer, Edward Dira, requested a new psychiatric assessment of his client. Also, he tried to attack his defense lawyer. Obviously, he thinks he's a terrorist. Yep. So, not funny, but it's insane to me. Goodness. They're still in 2005. They found Greg not criminally responsible for the murders and was ordered to remain under treatment in a secure psychiatric facility there in New Brunswick. So he is not allowed free. Mm-hmm. He has to remain, but they said he is not fit to stand trial. Okay. Made sense to me. Yeah. When I show you him, it's like, yeah. And his delusions went a little far. The only frustrating part, and I'm going to say this now, is he'll never say why he'll not even say he did the murders. Oh. And he'll never say why he did the murders.
So is he denying that he did them? Or
he won't talk about it.
Oh.
And this is all the way up until now.
Interesting.
So let's get into that. So next trial, now we're in 2008. This is where Greg was suffering delusions and schizophrenia. So they're basically saying he suffered those delusions and schizophrenia when he killed Fred and Verna. During a hearing, the review board was told there was no real change. So now what's happening is, and I do like this, right? There's a review board and they look over his case and they say, is he better now? Can he leave? Which is crazy to me, right? Wow. And then the review board will say, no, well, on that review board is a lot of Fred and Verna's family. And I thought that was pretty cool because they get to decide Greg's fate.
Good. As they should.
Yeah. So during this trial in 2008, they said there is no real change in Despres' condition and that he constantly refuses treatment. His psychiatrist said he should remain at the place at Dorchester, which I guess is in that same area, because he would be a risk to society if released into the community. There will be ongoing review every 2 years as he stays in custody. His case will go in front of a board, which again consists of some of Fred and Varna's family. Good. The review board last held a full hearing. Now we're going to jump to 2015. So he's not got a full hearing since 2008.
The last was 2008 and now in 2015. Okay.
Yep. On the psychiatrist says that Despres is very stable and one of the easiest patients he's taken care of. So all of a sudden, the same psychiatrist. Yep. It's the same man. Louis Thurall. He is the same man. Now is coming in and saying he's one of the easiest patients to take care of. He says, though, that Greg takes his medication but still won't participate in any programs or talk about what happened. He told the hearing he treated Greg for 10 years and there hasn't been much improvement, but he's easy and cooperative. He's the only patient he's ever known who has refused systematically to discuss these issues or the murder. The review board asked Greg if he had any comments, and he said he would like to be transferred. This is the comment he made. He would like to be transferred out of Dorchester and out of New Brunswick. He said he would like to go to Ontario, to a place that has more hospital-like environment. Asked if he would be willing to and then they said if they would do that, would you be willing to try any mental health programs? This is where it gets a little like, okay, he's not completely unsound, because he said, I'll try a program or two. He told the board he was found not criminally responsible for what happened. As far as being guilty of murder, I'm still not guilty. Despres said, "You're saying, if I understand you, you didn't commit the offenses?" One of the board members asked. "Yes, sir," he replied. They asked, he knows he has illness. Despres also said he knows he needs medication to keep him docile and calm. He told the board he knew he had paranoid schizophrenia. When asked if he understood what the disease is, he replied, "Not a bit." Oh, but I know I have it.
So this is something prior to the murders that he knew he had.
I gather,
that's what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
Not a bit, but I know I have it. But now he's been in this facility since 2005. It is now 10 years later, and he still doesn't know a damn thing about paranoid schizophrenia. Yeah. You're telling me that with psychiatrists, knowing they're telling him, he still has to see a psychiatrist. Maybe he doesn't do the programs, but he still has to see a psychiatrist. That means this man has not been taking anything in, or he's playing dumb.
I think it's that. Yeah.
So several family members of Fulton and Despres submitted victim impact statements, and 4 family members read them out loud at the hearing. The lawyer, Darlene Blunzen, objected to an inter-provincial transfer and said the Attorney General's office would have to consider any move out of Dorchester. She said there is no plan in place and Despres has made no real progress. She also asked for the next hearing not to take place for 2 years. So the defense lawyer, which is now Rebecca Butler, said Despres will not improve where he is currently located. There are only 2 facilities in the province, and I think you're gonna get where I'm coming from, because I think Despres is smarter than what they think, and I think you're gonna understand why he's wanting to be moved.
Okay? Oh boy, okay.
So there are only 2 facilities in the province that offer forensic care, which has refused to take Despres. And the board asked the treatment team to see if there's another facility that could address his needs. Noting the brutality of the double murder, the review board said its decision has to be based on public safety, and Despres is at a moderate risk to reoffend in a violent manner. The board decided to keep Despres at that same facility, but encouraged him to work with treatment team if he has hopes to be transferred. The next hearing will be held in a year instead of 2 years. Rebecca Butler, she said that it's very positive that the board ordered that the Healing Center treatment team look into the possibility of a transfer. This is his lawyer. So it sounds like the board is open to eventually considering a recommendation in that nature. She said that Despres was satisfied with the outcome. It kind of provides him with a bit of hope that he may not be in she-body, is what that place is called, forever.
Oh.
But this is what is interesting. The family it's getting more difficult for them to attend hearings. And if they move him, they won't be able to attend hearings at all.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah,
and
isn't that convenient?
Of course he would love for that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because that's part of the people that keep him
that
detained.
are keeping him. Uh-huh.
But remember, she says, we do it because we're trying to honor Papa and Verna's memory and to let people continue to be safe for the issues that are there to be presented every time, that people never forget how wonderful they were as people, that they were taken from us and our family and will never be the same because of this man's mental illness. Yeah. We do it so that he stays where he's at and that we can attend the meetings. As late as 2020, they've kept him there.
Okay.
As late as 2021, he is still there, but still asking to be transferred out. When I said this was going to be a shorter one, it's because he will not talk.
Oh my God.
And has not talked. And it is and I decided to do this one anyway because of the fact that I think it's important, like, to hear that this family is fighting all the way up until 2021 to keep him where he's at so that they can continue to keep him in that place. And the fact that he has taken medication, but he has not, he basically has said he has not committed murder, that he did not do those things, that those never happened, that, and that does not do any of the work that he's supposed to do.
Wow.
And so I wanted to bring this case to the front to talk about the fact that I think it's awesome they have listened to the family. And I think it's awesome that even though he's an easy patient, that they have come forth and said he's not done any work to better himself. He just takes medication, and we all know that is not a fix-all.
Nope.
And that paranoid schizophrenia and the type of element he in is very dangerous.
Yes.
And that he is a danger to his family. Mm-hmm. And even though bizarre that the U.S. border control let him in, they said they had no choice, but also kudos to them for fingerprinting him, DNA testing him, and doing everything that they did.
And to get him the next day.
Quickness, yes. The quickness that they got him, I think was pretty amazing.
And for 2005, that's pretty good.
It really is. It really is.
That's pretty crazy.
The quickness of which they got him, and I'm going to now show her a picture.
Oh my good Lord. Wow. Guys, look this man up.
Look up the picture of him the day that he got brought in.
Wow. I know what you're meaning. I've definitely seen that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this is him today. That's him today.
Yeah.
But the eyes still don't look good to me.
That looks familiar too.
Yeah. That tells me that, yeah.
I guess we can talk a little bit on, we're obviously, I was hoping. We're not psychiatrists, psychologists by any means. We're not professionals. This is, do not take this as medical whatever.
No.
But just as someone who has been around someone with that and have known other people like that, it's really sad because, first of all, they're so, how scarily similar they all kind of are with their beliefs and believing that they're being chased or that there's wires listening to them in their house. There's people who have torn their house apart because they fully believe and to if you put yourself in that situation, that is horrific. And then you also, I'm trying to get my words correct here, but you take a mental illness that the majority of them, and I'm not saying all, I know everybody is very different.
Everyone is.
But with paranoid schizophrenia, they're paranoid and they do believe that people are out to get them. Of course, they're not going to take medication because people are out to get them in their head. And
it makes sense to them.
Exactly.
And everyone is out to get them.
And they're hearing these things they're actually hearing them. It is sad, but it's also what do you do? How do you, it's just a really tough it's just tough. It's a really tough mental
tough mental illness, because you can see with their paranoid schizophrenia where they're having these delusions.
Yeah.
It's very real to them. But the danger it puts on society is very, very real as well. So it's like you can have compassion for the fact that they have a mental illness, but you can't have compassion in the way that they ever get to like walk free, you know, when they're refusing the plan.
Right. And it's like, what do you do with these people? You know, like, what are you supposed to do? And like, there's no right. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Like, it's just really tough. But it's
really tough. There is no right or wrong answer with this.
No.
But the right answer is that they're a danger to society and they're a danger to themselves. And so the right answer is, until that danger is contained and accurately contained, they are not supposed to be in society. And I think it's very good that Papa's and Varna's family get to be on that board and keep him where he is, because what they're doing is they're stopping something like this happening to what they had, the nightmare they had to go through. Yeah. They're stopping it for other people. They're doing society a good.
Right.
Because of what they went through. They could just say, I don't want any part of it.
Yep.
But they're not. They're coming there every year or whenever it goes and refacing everything that they had, especially their daughter and the grandchildren. Yeah. And they not only having them taken, but how they're taking to keep society safe.
Right. It's really amazing.
It is amazing. And I just think that's like, that is how you're going to, they are like honoring their memory.
Absolutely.
In so many ways to keep
and that's
society
like,
safe.
How long is that? That's like
2005 to 2021 is the last newspaper hearing that I found.
Wow.
So only 3 years ago.
That's really awesome that they are able to do that. And it's really good for the public, obviously. And I think this is for once, I mean, it's obviously tragic what happened. But I think this is for once a good action on police. And it seems like the system has kind of worked in this situation for once. And that's been good to hear, because it's typically not that way.
No, it's not. Typically. In all the cases we've done, you guys have heard, it's been a
I mean, the last one, they had the Zodiac killer, and they just straight up let him go.
Tell you how often I think of that. I think of it so often. In fact, I went home to Liz and was like, they had him. Yeah. And he said, no, that way. And they went that way. It's just crazy. But this one was like a little bitter. It brought some tears to my eyes as I read, because
that's sad.
It's sad that this man has to have this illness and go through this. And I don't know. I know paranoid schizophrenia can be brought on by drug use.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of his age and where he's, the maturing in his brain, and it just finally took. But I also want to say, parents, trust your gut. The mom saw it, saw there's something wrong. And not all the time can you make your child get help, but you can certainly, ping or be
vigilant.
Like,
and as hard as it is, when you see those signs that are scary, to be on top of it and don't let it go.
Don't let it go.
Don't just be like, oh, it's nothing, because you could save a life.
Yeah.
Or a few lives.
But on the flip side, I have followed a lot of TikToks on schizophrenia. I don't know about paranoid schizophrenia, but the one that sees things. And I have seen some people do some things to really change their life. Like they get the therapy dog.
Yes. That
they look to that dog to tell them what's real and what's not real. So if somebody appears... If the dog's not freaking out, they know that is not real. Right. If the dog is, then they know that's real. And I thought that was pretty cool that they actually have that going on now. So
I think it was Liz that was telling me another thing that they're doing is when they are seeing like what they think is a real person or spirit or whatever, they'll take their phone out and start recording.
Yep.
And then they'll look at their phone, and if they're like, oh, there's nothing there, then that kind of also can validate, whether what they're seeing is real or not. So I thought that was a really cool thing too.
I think it also is, how does it make you feel? I always wonder that, because it's always these things that appear are always bringing them pretty horrible messages. They're always saying really awful things. From what I've heard accounts of it. They're always, not delivering positivity by any means. Like what are, because people do see spirits.
Yes, they do.
But are they bringing forth to you?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
especially if you're having ones that are telling you that people are following you, that you need to lock yourself down, that there's bugs everywhere, you know, like you taps everywhere and all that kind of stuff, you know. But I understand at that point in time in your life when you're finally like in that deep, it's hard to come out.
You can't. Yeah.
It's just a bad situation. You've said it. It's just a horrible
it's
situation.
Awful. And it's really bad. Like, and obviously if there was a right answer, we would have it figured out by now. But that also, I think I told you about the show. It's called Six Schizophrenic Brothers. You have to watch it.
I'm going to have to watch it. I think you did, and I never watched it.
It is so, it's just crazy. And it's just really, it's sad. And it's like, I don't even know. But for those of you who have seen it, you know. But I won't really spoil too much of it. There's not much to spoil. It's essentially just this family who, obviously, I believe they had 12 kids. I believe in 6 of them. 6, and they were all the brothers.
Yeah.
Had it. But it's really interesting how it was. I think one common denominator that they found was, because they were Catholic, and the ones that were schizophrenic were molested by a priest. I don't know, I can't remember if every one of them that was schizophrenic was, but that was kind of a common denominator. But they ended up, they were
triggered it or something.
Yeah. They were kind of like a case study, really, and they had like the psychiatrist working with them and trying to figure it out, get to the root of it. And no one, I mean, even to this day, there's not a whole lot. You know, you can't pinpoint exactly what it's caused from, but it's just, I don't know, it's awful. It's a horrible, I mean, mental illness in general is not always the best, but like this one in particular is just, it's really scary. It's scary for the people going through it, and it's really scary for people who are around it.
Yeah, my heart hurt both ways.
Yeah.
This case, I was like, oh, it's awful. My heart absolutely was ripped out for Fred and Varna, like in the family.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Fred and Varna will go on to have, no matter what you believe, they're going to go on for good, right? But like the family is the one that's left behind. But then also I'm like, this guy had paranoid schizophrenia. I don't know what his life entailed. I didn't get a lot about his life except what his mom's account was. So
I find it interesting that he hasn't said anything.
Nothing.
That's really crazy to me. Because a lot of the time, like, I feel like if it were something where he thought that was someone who was like trying to come after him, he would say that. Yeah. He would say they were trying to kill me. They were listening to me. They were, you know what I mean? And nothing. And that's weird, because I was going to say, obviously we don't know the reason why he did it, but the only assumption that I have is he believed that they were trying to get him.
That's what their assumption was, because he's never talked about it, because of the bizarre things he was saying at the border. Now, is there a possibility that he may, I just don't, his eyes, I'm sorry, I have to go with this one. He definitely has the mental illness. And there's no way that, they said he was saying bizarre things and all that. So like, no. Like,
that's, it's really scary.
Yeah.
His eyes are telling. That's for sure.
Exactly. I knew, I was like, I wonder if she's seen these.
I've seen that.
That's what I was wondering. So.
It's really crazy. I've heard like other people say too, that it's almost like just other people, and if you yourself listening have experienced someone who has it, it's almost like black, like they turn black. Yeah, it's really scary. You can see the switch
like
happen.
The pupils almost get so large because they're like, I don't know what it is. It's crazy, and it's just not crazy that way. I just feel like it's just so bizarre. Yeah.
Well, it's like you just know that there's nothing at that point, that nothing you say is going to
reasoning.
No, at all.
Nope.
At all. And so it's just scary. So that's sad. I'm happy about the way that it's worked out in the system so far. I think that's good. Hopefully it continues to be good, and hopefully he stays where he is, and his family, like can keep doing this amazing work that they're doing. But
hopefully it just, I think he just needs to stay where he is until he is gone. I think that with his lack of trying even to do any of the programs and just taking his medication, I think just let him be there. Yeah. Let him stay there, because I do feel like there's a very big reason why he wants to be moved into another area. And I think that we need to just Because I will say, people even with paranoid schizophrenia, they can be cunning. So you just gotta be careful.
I was going to tell you,
gotta
they
be
are
careful.
smart.
Yes.
And the way they will study, I mean, they will study like law books. They will know the laws better than a policeman because they will just set their mind to that. It's really kind of, it's crazy. Did they ever say if he's acted out at all? Like, I know that you said he's been really good, but he's never had any, like...
They've had him on medication.
And he's actually taking it.
And he takes his medication.
Oh.
And he will not do any other programs, and he will not talk about it. He's not talked about it once. But he takes his medication, and he even knows that he takes medication so he can be docile, and, like, he says, so I'm docile and not,
I wonder what
safe.
Would happen if they did not give him medication and see if anything came to light from... I'm not saying that...
I mean, interesting. That's an interesting thought.
I'm curious if that
have
would
to probably
change
put him
anything.
on some serious lockdown if that's the case.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
in the psychiatric ward,
Yes.
so they have to put him on serious lockdown. But I think where he's at is where he needs to stay because if he's just going to take his medication but not do anything to, like, better himself further, then...
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. This was an interesting case. I thank you for bringing it to my attention because I love to be able to spotlight Fred and Varna, and I love to be able to spotlight the fact that the family is just working so hard to keep their memory alive and to do that. Yeah. So appreciate it. It definitely was a hard one.
Yes.
But I hope I did it justice.
100%.
Yeah.
That was great. I don't know what we're going to do for next week. I haven't figured out. I don't know yet. There's a lot of options. So I don't know what it will be. So it'll be a little surprise for you guys. But anyway, I know this is a little short one, which is probably good because last week's was quite lengthy. So anyways, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye. Bye.